Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. College students today are encouraged to get involved in the community where they go to school. Some examples of community engagement include service learning classes, internships, and local research. For students at the University of Vermont's College of Medicine, involvement comes in the form of tackling some of the state's most pressing healthcare challenges. To learn more, here's Across the Fence's Rebecca Gollin.
A hospital stay can cause stress and uncertainty for patients and their families. Here at the University of Vermont Medical Center, a program is helping patients by giving them a chance to connect with their creative side.
If just one person can feel a little bit better, then that helps everybody else feel a little bit better.
Rebecca Schwartz is the coordinator for Art from the Heart. The program is a collaboration between Burlington City Arts and the Medical Center. It brings art to patients in the hospital. Offerings range from scenic landscapes that can brighten up a drab hospital room to writing exercises and art supplies.
We have a lot of coloring pages that people really enjoy. There's watercolors or creating cards for people. So you might get a kit with some envelopes and paper that you could then decorate and embellish.
Art from the Heart has worked with the Children's Hospital for years and recently expanded to serve adult patients as well. Volunteers are the core of the program, visiting patients individually to offer supplies or decorate a window or door.
When I walk in, they say, "I'm not an artist," and I say, "Neither am I."
Former kindergarten teacher Buffy Deckmar is hoping to attend medical school. Volunteering with Art from the Heart has given her a first-hand look at working in a hospital setting.
Every room is different. Yes, I walked into rooms where I wasn't sure if the person could hear me or if they were alert enough to understand what I was offering. I've gone into rooms and offered art supplies to a woman who was blind, which actually ended up being kind of a good interaction after I recovered from the awkward initial intro. But yes, exactly. Every room is different, and that's why it's important. Rebecca teaches us in our training to stop and slow down and kind of realize that this is probably one of the slowest parts of our week. And it's just being there and observing and figuring out what we can do to support these people who are in less than perfect situations like we all are. So.
The program is not just for patients in the hospital, but also for their families as well as caregivers. Regular drop-in sessions for employees give them the chance to make a card or a picture. The effects of the program are clear to those who work here every day.
The volunteers come in and we just love having them here. They've created an environment that is less stressful.
Annette Berger is a general medicine nurse at the hospital. She helps patients learn how to incorporate practices like yoga, meditation, and mindfulness into their care. She says that adding art into the mix opens up the opportunity for patients and their caregivers to communicate in a new way.
Art is under this big umbrella that allows us to communicate in a non-threatening way where people are allowed to share some personal experiences too, such as, even a scenic picture from the woods. When one of our old Vermonters come in, that really draws their attention, and it allows me to hear a little bit more of their background and allows me to establish goals, because then I can find out what are their real goals in life.
Berger says that having art in the hospital can help when the time comes for difficult conversations with patients.
Art kind of allows you to explore that without feeling we're going to put them on another restriction and their life is going to be limited and they're not allowed to go out in the woods anymore. It's more like exploring how do we get back to that quality of life.
It's not just Berger's opinion that Art from the Heart reduces stress and improves job satisfaction. It's been the subject of a study by UVM medical students.
We kind of ask questions from two different points of view. One being how did the art program affect their job and their job satisfaction? And so we ask them questions like, does it reduce your stress in your workday and things like that? Does it help you to communicate with patients? Those types of questions. And then the other questions that we asked were more like, does it help with patient mood or anxiety? You know, how does the art program affect patient well-being?
For their study, the team interviewed a number of nurses on this adult inpatient floor. The results show that the program has a positive impact on staff and patients alike.
One thing that they particularly noted was that there was a particular benefit for patients who were suffering from dementia who had more extended stays in the hospital.
Eric King was one of the students who worked on the research. It was for his Public Health Projects course, which every UVM medical student takes in their second year. The class pairs students with nonprofits in the community for a variety of research projects. At the end of the semester, the students present their findings to their peers and instructors.
We reach out to more than 100 nonprofit agencies in the community and ask them what they need in terms of health. What the populations they serve, do they have any particular health challenges? And they submit proposals for projects to us, and then we sit down together and look at where the greatest needs, and then those become the projects for our students.
Dr. Jan Carney teaches the class. There are 16 projects with topics ranging from issues surrounding obesity, healthcare access, and substance abuse, to working with the American Lung Association to assess asthma in Vermont farmers. The partnership is mutually beneficial, with local organizations getting data they'll use to write grants or share with legislators, and students getting hands-on experience with issues they'll be dealing with as doctors.
My goal is to have them have in their head that there are all these other factors that are absolutely critical for people to be healthy. The kind of house they live in, their neighborhood, whether they have enough food to eat, whether they learn how to read, literacy, education, all those social factors that are so important in people's health. And that's really essential if you're going to be a really good doctor. And that's one of our goals, is to make them the best possible physicians they can be, and also be able to practice in an environment, no matter what community where they end up, to understand the health needs of their patients.
It's really great to have the opportunity to do a community project like this. Honestly, most of my day is spent like staring at a textbook. So in that sense, it's really great, and it really just shows us and makes us think about the reason why, at least in my case, I'm studying medicine, because the whole idea is to sort of like improve the quality of care and sort of make things run more smoothly in the hospital. And a lot of people don't think about how something like art could play a big part in doing that. So.
Some of the community partners apply to work with the students for multiple years, building new projects on the research the last group did. This is the third year for Art from the Heart, and the first time they've assessed their adult program. Coordinator Rebecca Schwartz hopes the partnership will continue for many years and many more research projects.
I would love to do longer term and more complex research to really ask some bigger questions. And there is research out there that shows how art supports people through reducing pain, which can become very real in terms of if pain is reduced, then the need for medication is reduced, which becomes an economical benefit and also just better for the body.
Helping Vermonters feel better when they aren't feeling their best. Art from the Heart is proving that it can produce results. At the University of Vermont Medical Center, I'm Rebecca Gullen with Across the Fence.
Well, thank you, Rebecca. Joining me now is the founder of the Public Health Projects program, Dr. Jan Carney of the UVM College of Medicine, and alongside Dr. Carney is Lori Dana. Laura heads up the volunteer programs for the United Way of Northwest Vermont. Thanks so much for coming in. Now, Dr. Carney, how long have you been doing public health projects like Art from the Heart?
Since 2004, the medical students really wanted to have a way to make a sustained difference in the community. So we developed a course. It's now a required course in the medical curriculum. And so each year we have about 16 projects with about 17 students per group that are going on out in the community in response to identified community health needs.
And so what are some other examples of some of the projects that the students have done?
We've done a lot with nutrition and food insecurity, both in children and adults. We've done things where it's important to connect people to other services. So for example, people who come to the Chittenden Emergency Food Shelf may have other health and social needs, and trying to figure out a way to connect people who come there as about the tip of the iceberg to other services. All kinds of things, advocacy for things that the legislature might be interested in, everything from housing to connections to health care to basic food, lots of different examples.
And why is it important for the students to be involved in this project? I think when you think about going to medical school, you think about the intense coursework and you think about the studying and the very clinical things that you have to concentrate on.
It's about public health. If we think about all the things that influences the health of individuals and entire communities, it's healthcare and much, much more. So we want the students to have a different perspective. And so, for example, if you spend most of your time working in the hospital or the library or an office setting, you don't necessarily get the chance to see and experience and visualize all those other factors. So we want students out in the community. We want them to work with different community agencies and learn about some of those things that impact health that people are having trouble with that they might not necessarily see on a day-to-day basis.
So what are some of the next examples of some of the projects coming up?
Next fall, we have some very exciting projects, and we have some of the same agencies coming back and some of the community issues, really, these are in response to some of the community issues. So things like opiate addiction and access to treatment in healthcare settings. We've talked in the past couple of years to primary care providers, and we've talked to the patients themselves about what are some of those barriers. And I think this year we're going to talk to the policymakers because we have a very large and growing program in the state, but we still have issues with capacity and getting people actually into that treatment exactly when they need it. That would be one example. The Community Health Center in Burlington has a fascinating doctor at home program, so we're going to have our students out there actually doing house calls with them.
Awesome. So what's the United Way's role in this public health project?
So the United Way, because our mission is working on community issues that have been identified by the members of our community through lots of different ways, this is just one more group of people and resources that we can extend to our nonprofits who might not have the capacity, I think, to do these projects on their own with their current staff, and all of a sudden they have 6 or 7 students and a faculty mentor that are willing to put some energy into helping them collect data. And I think it said in the piece, they've taken it to the legislature and used that data to support requests that they're making. They've used them in grant applications. So the United Way just sees us as another great way to partner with the UVM Medical Center and the students to get some resources out to our nonprofits.
An important aspect of the United Way is the community needs assessment. Tell us a little bit about the assessment and how the public health project fits into that.
So we just completed our most recent community needs assessment. We went out and talked to donors, to partners, talking to them about what do they see as the most important needs right now in our community. We looked at a lot of data that's collected by different organizations, by the state, by the University of Vermont Medical Center, and really work with a team of volunteers that we have, a committee, to kind of narrow in on, well, what are the really important needs right now? And no surprise, some things, opiate addiction and substance abuse, food insecurity, particularly for children and for elders, things like that, which come up we see them because they're also the things that agencies submit to us as proposals for projects. So it all kind of does weave together.
Mm-hmm. And I would imagine for the students too, it's kind of an eye-opener to say, oh, social issues are some of the reasons why we see patients.
Exactly. You know, for example, if somebody doesn't have health insurance, that's a very obvious thing in a medical context. But one of the things we're studying again this fall
is the impact of lack of transportation. Can people get there? Can they get to health care when they need it? And we're going to look more closely at that as a potential barrier.
If people are interested in volunteering for United Way, what can they do to find out more?
United Way works with almost 300 nonprofits in Chittenden, Franklin, and Grand Isle counties, and we have one central database that they can post their volunteer needs. It's really easy. It's on our website, which is unitedwaynwvt.org. And if you click the volunteer thing at the top and scroll down, you'll find different ways to search volunteer opportunities. People could also call me at 861-7832. That's 861-7832. But our website is really the key place to go, and the things change every day. So if you don't find something today, there's always new postings.
I want to thank you both for joining me today. That's our program for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.